Let's travel to Antarctica on the world map. As you know, the moon is the mirror of the Earth, like an X-ray, thanks to vibes of cosmos. So, and this circle here is what we call the Antarctica Treaty, which is military enforced in 1961, expires in 2045, and we are not allowed as common civilians to go beyond a certain limit. Only the military is allowed with certain, well, and we don't even know about military clearance and stuff. I'm just a normal guy. I consider myself being a Mr. Nobody, but at least we have the moon, which shows the map of the world thanks to vibes of cosmos. And as you can see, all the dark blue stuff is firm land, and then the light blue is the oceans, the waters, and on the bottom of the oceans and the waters are the craters. So Antarctica, which is everything that surrounds the known world on the edges of the Antarctica Treaty. Let's go first of all to the most known place, which is South America. South America, we have the two countries of Argentina and Chile. They speak Spanish there, and we can go in a straight line from the last known civilized point in South America, which is part of Argentina and Chile. We go in a straight line. Now we can go in a straight line different ways. We could go in a straight line like this, and this is where we get to the so-called the new land of fire, which is this continent has like several of the bases and stations of Antarctica by different countries. Elephant Island and Orkney Island are well known on the Mercator maps that we study in school, and we have the typical bases which are also well known. But this is the actual display, the placement, the geographical position of these bases and stations on the world map. Because the Mercator map that we see on the spinning ball, or that we study in school, it doesn't show us the reality of the real world in terms of Antarctica. Now, in a straight line, we are not allowed to go unless you're part of the military. So, for those who have technology like ships and submarines and airplanes, if the military allows you, you could go in a different straight line from here, from Temuco, and you can go here, get to this island, which is part of the new land of fire, but has no name. And if you keep going in a straight line, you get to Lemuria, which is there's a region in Lemuria called Brasilia, which is like that because Brazil, I guess the influence of Brazil from South America, who knows? We don't know if Lemuria is firm land on the surface or if it's on the bottom of the ocean. Or if you don't want to go that way, you can go in a straight line on the ocean. Now the problem is if you go in a straight line on the ocean, there's no continent here. So if you go from South America, there's nothing. It's just water, and you're probably gonna die in this direction or this or here. The only thing you can do is go from South America in a straight line over what we call the Pacific Ocean. And if you go in a straight line, which is probably, well, this is like the Atlantic Ocean, the South Atlantic Ocean. If you go in because the Pacific is here. If you go in a straight line, which probably you're not allowed to because the Antarctica, this is the Capricorn line, and then we have the Antarctic line. That's the limits. Probably not gonna be allowed, but if you were allowed, you would get to this part here, which is called Fuego, part of Pearland, and which is part of Pangaea, the Pangean continent. So yeah, but it's a huge amount of distance. Now, Lemuria, of course, and Lakac and Galeka are off limits, but we have Australia and New Zealand. Now, Australia and Tanzania here, and New Zealand. So from Australia, you have these places here, which is, well, we have one of the stations, which is a Domo, the real station. Go in a straight line from Australia if you're allowed by the military. You get to these continents here, these islands. Or go in a straight line from Tasmania, and you would get outside of the Antarctica Circle, which is just on the limits, Tasmania. Tasmania is actually on the other side of the Antarctica Circle. And from Hobart, in a straight line, I wonder if you're going to be allowed to get to this island here, or to this continent, the West Ireland or East Ireland. If you don't want to go there, you can go from New Zealand. And from New Zealand, you have these stations, which are the Saiwa and the Dome Fuji station, which I guess they're part of Japan. And this is the archipelago of Zealandia, which you also have these Chinese stations, the Kunlun and the Shongshan. I wonder if from Australia and from New Zealand in a straight line, you can go to Zealandia, if that's allowed, or from Tasmania. So for Australians and New Zealanders and Tasmanians, I guess it should be easier if you go in a straight line. Just bear in mind that here you have the distances. So this is a distance scale in kilometers. So all this here from 0 to 2,500 kilometers, or in miles, it's this, from 0 to 2,500 miles. if you don't want to go from Australia, then we can go from Asia, but from Asia it's a bit more difficult. From Asia, you could go from Japan or from Russia in a straight line, or from Indonesia, or from Papua New Guinea, or from the Solomon Islands. The Solomon Islands are very close to Lemuria, so go in a straight line. Let's see if you get to Lemuria, if there's any continent, or maybe the continent is under the ocean, who knows. Now, if Asia is difficult, let's go to Africa. From Africa, it's awesome. If you go in a straight line from South Africa or from Madagascar, there's a long stretch of land. You have to go to East Patalia, the Patalia continent. That's very far away. The closest would be to go to Fildania, which is this continent here, a continent island, which is off the shores of Pangaea. So we have to go from Namibia, or from Angola, or from Gabon, or from the Congo, or from the island of St. Helena, which I guess is the last civilized point in the ocean from our world, and go here to Fildania. Now, if you don't want to go there, you can go from this West African side, which is also the very poor countries like Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Senegal, and Gambia. Cape Verde, Cabo Verde, will be the last one. Go in a straight line, you get to Atlantis. We don't know if Atlantis is also like Lemuria. It's a continent, or if it's on the bottom of the ocean. I wonder if somebody has gone in a straight line from Cape Verde, in a straight line. Okay, so keep your ship and your submarine and your drones and your airplanes and your helicopters and your military technology in a straight line. Go to Atlantis, or that's the easiest point. But then again, who goes from these poor countries in Africa in a straight line to Atlantis? And that's it. This is like North Atlas. So again, you can go from Europe. From Europe, Europe would be awesome to go to Hyperborea. But if you want to go to Antarctica from Europe, the best way to go is in a straight line. You exit Europe towards, for example, from the UK, or from Iceland, or from Norway, from Scandinavia, and you go in a straight line. You get to North Atlas in a straight line. You see here North Atlas, which is a huge island, very huge island island continent. You can call it an island continent off the coast of Atlantis, which is the continent. And that's pretty much what you can do. Now, considering that we live in a limited world by the enforcement of the Antarctica Treaty military treaty, the best way would be from South America and Australia or New Zealand. But you know what happens? I guess you get a warning from Air Force, or from the Navy, or from the Army, or for whatever. Maybe you get a missile towards you, or a torpedo, or you get shot at. I don't know. You have to just tell me, because I'm just a normal guy. I have no contact with the military. I have no contact with the governments of any country. I have no contact. Heck, I don't even have a ship. I don't have a ship. I don't have an airplane. I don't have a submarine. I don't even know how to pilot one of those. And of course, I don't have any money. I don't have any fuel. I don't have any. Even if I would have a ship or something, I would probably drown, or like with the airplane, I'd get kicked out at some area because there's what we call international waters, and once you're in the international waters, you're not protected by the sovereignty of your nation. So let's say you go from Argentina or Chile, or you go from Australia and New Zealand. Once you're in the international waters, your citizenship doesn't protect you. So you can be shot at in international waters. Nobody gets the responsibility. That's why they're called international waters. That's why in international waters, the rule of the countries, of the sovereign nations, do not apply. So that's the main problem. If something happens to you in international waters, it's bye-bye and see you never. So yeah, let me know if you know more about Antarctica and it's a military enforced treaty from 1961, expires in 2045. We should speak. I'm going to create a channel soon to speak about the Germans and the Germans UFOs and the Germans from the Second World War and stuff from the Germans, is only information in German nobody speaks about. And let's see how that goes. But it's going to be on a different channel. You'll know about it in the future. So see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.